Hey guys, in this video I just wanted to share my opening repertoire with black. With white I'm just playing the Polish right now with b4, but I'll sometimes play e4 or knight f3 or sometimes b3. But Polish has just worked so well for me, so I'm sticking with that again. But with black I used to play e5 against e4 and then d5 against d4, right? So I would just mirror the pawns. With e4, it's pretty good. Let's go with black. I have a pretty decent score, almost 50%. And then with d4, d5, I have a little less than 50%, so it's not as good. We go into the Queen's Gambit, which is the best response for white, or best choice, I would say. I'm doing really bad. I'm under, or I'm at 40% wins compared to white's 52%, so a 12% difference. So that's really bad. But now I'm starting to play knight f6. So with black, I'm just playing e5 against e4, and then e4 I'm playing knight f6. And if you look with Stockfish, right, knight f6 is the top response, which is kind of interesting that I just always defaulted to d5, but the Queen's Gambit is just too complicated for me to figure out. I usually just get into trouble. So with knight f6, if they play c4, you play e6, and if they play knight c3, you have bishop e4 immediately, and you don't have this problem with the center early on in the game. If they play knight f3, a very common move in the Queen's Gambit, and usually the best choice for white to go for, like knight c3 just allows bishop b4, and black will be able to usually equalize. With knight f3, black has some difficult choices to make. I don't have it in the database because Lichess hasn't seen them all, but I do have some games in the Queen's Indian defense. And I usually just play bishop b7, and it's not the top move. Usually you're supposed to go to a6 and go back to b7. Maybe I'll eventually start playing that in some games. But yeah, it's been working out well for me. Let's just go through my games with knight c3, which is actually the most common response in my games usually. Bishop b4, and now you don't have a problem with this bishop, you just castle. Let's see, let's go through again. Let's say queen c2. I always play c5, or maybe I play after castles. Bishop here. I know I've played c5 in games. I just doesn't have them all on Lichess yet. But yeah, usually you go c5. Can you go c5 here? Castles is better. Okay, so just castle quickly. Let's follow my game a bit. h6, c5. I went d5. I know I eventually go c5, I would believe. Got it, right? Yeah, okay. Not that bad. But yeah, in the Nimzo, you're usually just going d5, c5, sometimes b6. If I follow a game, let's see how I do. Now again, this bishop is always having an issue in like the Queen's Gambit and the Nimzo defense, or the Indian defense, right? It's always this bishop has a difficulty because with c4 and knight c3, white makes it difficult for black to get this bishop out without blundering something early in the opening. Like if you go bishop f5 in many lines, it's going to be losing. Like for example, if you go d5 and they play this, like let's go here. Let's say they play here. This is the line where like you get into a lot of trouble with queen b3 is a good move. Takes, yeah, like it's just not good for black. So, and you can play knight f6. They're gonna play c5, and now like this is not gonna be a good idea because you're gonna be struggling in the center. This bishop's gonna have difficulty. Like say you play this and this. This is the King's Indian, right? But this opening is really complicated. And yes, like black can get a ton of attacking ideas with the King's Indian, but if you want to be more solid, you just play knight f6 after d4, in my opinion. So yeah, that's my opening repertoire. Yeah. Maybe I should go through like the Queen's Indian a bit, because I do know that black can get into trouble in that opening. So if they played g3, which is usually the top move, if you go here, it is better for white. But yeah, usually I'm just playing this and just taking, just castling and going for this position. Usually you have to play d4, but like, yeah, like in this opening, you can immediately like fight in the center like this. I think this is a nice idea, which I should go for in future games. If they play this critical line with an early bishop g2, takes. And again, it might be difficult for black, but if they ever take, right? Let's say they take. This bishop is at least going to be able to take, and you should be able to get counterplay. Like you could take here, that's fine. I guess you can also just defend the pawn. I think instead of this, you could also go d5, but let's see, takes. You could take with the pawn or knight. c5, c6, and I think eventually you're going to go bishop a6, right? I would guess sometimes, perhaps. Let's see. But yeah, you can kind of just slow play it too. I'm trying to see. But yeah, I think it's way more solid than playing the pawn defense, like a d5. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. I know a bit slow. Haven't made it that many of like opening videos, but yeah, that's what I'm playing right now. I'm actually, let me go to my profile. I'm actually at like one of my highest ratings in Blitz. I just got there. Some games, it's pretty embarrassing losses, but despite that, I'm actually getting some really good games. And I really think it's because I've improved my opening repertoire. Like in the lines that I do play, I usually know the ideas or know lines. And that's important. In e4, e5, I get into trouble sometimes in like the Berlin. Like I'll get checkmated like instantly because I'm not familiar with the position. But with the Berlin, eventually you'll remember what to do and you'll just draw or win enough to counter the losses. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.